Well, good morning and welcome to Breakfast News this Tuesday morning. We're back with all the latest updates from India and across the world. What are we tracking today morning? First of all, Home Minister Amit Shah is in Jamun, Kashmir, and we have been getting you the latest updates from his visit. A while back, he paid tributes to the martyrs at the Pulwama War Memorial. We'll be getting you updates from there as well, and the government's effort to reach out to the people of the valley.
And a very good morning to you, Shreya, and to all our viewers as well. As Shreya just said, it's a power-packed news hour ahead here on the Breakfast Show on DD India for news that shapes your day. Of course, we will be taking a look at all that Amit Shah did and said during his tour of Jammu and Kashmir. Also, the Prime Minister will attend the 18th ASEAN-India Summit to be held virtually on the 28th of October at the invitation of the Sultan of Brunei. A look at that, all the international updates, news from sports, business and much more. But first, here are the headlines.
Union Home Minister Amit Shah pays his tributes to the martyrs in Pulwama today, also interacts with CRPF Jawans last night. He concludes his Jammu and Kashmir visit, during which he unveiled development projects for Kashmir, extends a hand of friendship to Kashmir's youth. Vigilance Awareness Week to be observed starting today. The theme this year is Independent India at 75, Self-Reliance with Integrity. Prime Minister Modi says country is moving forward with zero tolerance against corruption. Vigilance team of NCB to probe corruption allegations against its officer Sameer Wankhare based in the Mumbai drugs case. An eyewitness had levelled allegations on the sworn affidavit. Bombay High Court to hear Aryan Khan's bail appeal in the drugs case. A major win for India and other developing countries ahead of COP26 in Glasgow. A $100 billion aid target by rich countries can be met in 2023, announced COP26 ministers. The climate finance is aimed at helping poorer countries fight climate change. The army takes reins of the government after deposing the interim government in Sudan. Sudan's interim government council head, General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, addresses the nation after the coup. Soldiers arrest most of the members of Sudan's cabinet, even as opponents of the takeover took to the streets, where gunfire and injuries have been reported. In cricket, Afghanistan beats Scotland by a whopping 130 runs in the ICC Men's T20 World Cup. Pakistan to face New Zealand today. Defending champions West Indies to take on South Africa. And two more teams added to IPL. BCCI announces successful bidders. Lucknow franchisee goes to RPSG Ventures Limited for 7,090 crore rupees, while Aurelia Company Private Limited wins Ahmedabad for 5,625 crore rupees. All right, let's begin with our top story, which is the Home Minister's visit to Jammu and Kashmir.
Well, before concluding his visit, the Union Home Minister paid tribute to the martyrs at the Pulwama War Memorial this morning. He paid tribute to 40 CRPF Jawans who were martyred in the 2019 Pulwama terror attack. Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha was also present on the occasion. He laid a wreath at the memorial, paying tribute to the martyrs of the 2019 Pulwama terror attack. Home Minister Amit Shah also planted a sapling in Pulwama. Home Minister Amit Shah, who decided to extend his 3-day visit to Jammu and Kashmir, stayed in the CRPF camp at Letpora in Pulwama last night. He spent the night with the Jawans and spoke to them about their problems. The Home Minister expressed his gratitude to the CRPF and other security forces for ensuring that there was no bloodshed after Article 370 was revoked in August 2019.
Union Home Minister Amit Shah made a bold statement in Srinagar on the final day of his 3-day visit to Jammu and Kashmir. He had the bulletproof glass shield removed from the podium before addressing a gathering where he reached out the hand of friendship to Kashmir's youth. Amit Shah also took a pot shot at the National Conference veteran Dr. Farooq Abdullah for advocating dialogue with Pakistan and said that he would instead talk to Kashmiri people.
Reflecting the wave of peace and prosperity sweeping across the Kashmir Valley, Home Minister Amit Shah made a bold statement on Monday by getting the bulletproof glass shield removed from the podium before taking to it to address Kashmiris in Srinagar. On the final day of his 3-day visit to Jammu and Kashmir, the HM unveiled a huge hamper of gifts for the region. Addressing the gathering, Amit Shah said the people of Kashmir have suffered a lot. Reaching out to the youth, the minister appealed to all to banish fear from their hearts.
मैं विकास की बात बाद में करूंगा, मगर एक विश्वास आपको दिलाना चाहता हूं। दिल में से खौफ निकाल दीजिए, डर निकाल दीजिए। कश्मीर की शांति और विकास की यात्रा को कोई खलल नहीं पहुंचा सकता। आप भारत सरकार पर भरोसा कर सकते हैं, हम पर भरोसा करें।
The Home Minister said that the PM holds Kashmir very close to his heart. His government is taking all steps to ensure that all Kashmiris are assured the right to equality. He took on former Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister and NC leader Farooq Abdullah for suggesting dialogue with Pakistan. Amit Shah said he'd rather talk to the people of the valley and its youth.
आपके साथ मन खोलकर बात करना चाहता हूं, इसीलिए ना बुलेट प्रूफ है, ना कोई सिक्योरिटी है, मैं आपके सामने ऐसे ही खड़ा हूं। मित्रों, आज ही मैंने अखबार में देखा, फारूक साहब ने मुझे सलाह दी है कि भारत सरकार पाकिस्तान से बातचीत करे। अब खैर बड़े अनुभवी व्यक्ति है, मुख्यमंत्री रहे सूबे के, उनकी सलाह है, मगर मैं फारूक साहब को कहना चाहता हूं और आप सबको विशेष करना चाहता हूं, बात करनी है तो मैं मेरे घाटी के भाइयों और बहनों के साथ बात करूंगा, घाटी के युवाओं के साथ।
The Home Minister's gift hamper included development projects including a medical college in Handwara and 295 kilometers of road projects. Land allotment for JSW Group's 150 crore rupees color-coded steel unit in Pulwama. Appointment letters to nearly 3,000 youth including Hindu migrants under a rehabilitation scheme. 2-wheeler keys to skill development related Mumkin scheme recipients and certificates for women entrepreneurs under the Tejaswini scheme. Certificates to nomadic community beneficiaries under Forest Rights Act and certificates for women dairy farmers. He also gave certificates to Aadhaar enabled payment systems beneficiaries to further financial inclusion in Jammu and Kashmir.
आतंकवाद के प्रति इसके विरोध में नरेंद्र मोदी सरकार की जीरो टॉलरेंस की नीति है, हम इसको सहन ही नहीं कर सकते। ये मानवता के खिलाफ, और जो लोग इस गतिविधि में लिप्त हैं वो जघन्य कृत्य कर रहे हैं, और उससे आम जनता को बचाना, कश्मीर को बचाना और उनको सुरक्षित रखना हमारी प्राथमिकता होनी चाहिए, हमारी प्रायोरिटी होनी चाहिए।
The Home Minister also countered all talk of people losing their land in the valley after the abrogation of Article 370. He charged the people raising such doubts of attempting to hold back development to preserve their own stranglehold over power in Kashmir to perpetuate their corruption of 70 years. He said a large number of people have jobs in the valley. Prior to his address, the Home Minister prayed at the Kheer Bhavani temple in Gandarbar district clad in a traditional Kashmiri firan. Later in the evening, the Home Minister was also treated to the unparalleled beauty and sight of a cultural performance on festively lit up shikaras on a glimmering Dal Lake. With Rama Tyagi and Salman Qazi in Srinagar, DD India.
All right, our colleague Salman Qazi, who's been tracking the Home Minister's visit in Jammu and Kashmir, joins us on the phone line right now. Salman, good morning. A very important visit by the Home Minister there. Whether it was wearing the traditional firan, Kashmiri firan, or inaugurating several developmental projects, medical colleges, job promises for the youth of Jammu and Kashmir, or self-employment for women, or financial inclusion, to today when he paid tributes to the martyrs at the Pulwama War Memorial. An extremely important message sent out by the Home Minister that the government's focus is on the valley, it is on the prosperity and welfare of its people. But really, for the average Kashmiri, what have been the big takeaways from the visit of the Home Minister?
I think this was very important visit of the Home Minister, and it has been his first visit since the abrogation of Article 370 and 35A, and it was also preceded by an escalating violence. So, Home Minister's visit here was where he reversed the security situation. He also reoriented the new security architecture to take care of the new emerging threats that have been emerging here in Jammu and Kashmir, and also refocusing on developmental package, especially the Prime Minister's developmental package, and also other aspects of the development. So all in all, he has been here for three plus days, and Home Minister has been here for 3+ days, and he has almost overseen every facet of the Jammu and Kashmir in terms of security, in terms of development, in terms of the existing developmental package. He has also gone to Jamun. He has also gone to Kheer Bhavani temple. So all in all, a very important visit, very symbolic visit, and a visit that has kept track of all the strengths that emerge from Jammu and Kashmir.
Right, Salman, when you referred to the symbolism, the optics of it all, as he made a bold statement in Srinagar on the final day of his 3-day visit to the Union Territory, he removed the glass shield that was supposed to protect him. His words reaching out to the youth of the valley, refusing to deny Pakistan a role as the former Chief Minister had suggested.
Definitely, it was reflective. He said that this is reflective of his attitude towards the people of Jammu and Kashmir, especially the youth, whom he wants to interact and whom he said he holds dear. And he criticized Dr. Farooq Abdullah for suggesting that this dialogue with Pakistan is imperative for the peace in Jammu and Kashmir. He said that for the peace in Jammu and Kashmir, the most imperative thing that we have to do is to have the dialogue with our own people, and they're doing that dialogue with different stakeholders in Jammu and Kashmir, and the politics that that Dr. Fazlullah was suggesting has resulted in deaths, around 40,000 deaths in Jammu and Kashmir, and has achieved nothing for Jammu and Kashmir, whether it was in developmental indices, whether it was in security situation. Most of the things deteriorated due to that sort of politics. And he said that August 2019 was our resolve for a new kind of politics, and that politics is based on development. That politics is based on security, and that politics is based on including all sections of the society in Jammu and Kashmir.
Well, many thanks, Salman, for joining us there and for those detailed inputs.
All right, moving on, the news from the NCB's cruise drugs case. The Bombay High Court will hear the bail plea of Aryan Khan and others in the cruise drugs case today. The special court had rejected their plea last week. In the meantime, the NCB has ordered vigilance inquiry against its zonal director, Samir Wankhede, who has been leading the probe into the case based on a sworn affidavit submitted by an eyewitness who has alleged corruption.
The Bombay High Court will hear Aryan Khan's bail plea in the cruise drug case on Tuesday. Aryan Khan was denied bail by the special NDPS court last week. Apart from Aryan Khan, the court will also hear the pleas of Munmun Dhanecha and Arbaz Marchand in the case. In the meantime, a special court refused to pass any order on the plea of Narcotics Control Bureau and its zonal director Samir Wankhede, in which he has appealed not to take cognizance of the statement of a witness related to the case. The court said that the matter is sub judice in the Bombay High Court and no order can be passed at this stage. Earlier, Samir Wankhede had filed an affidavit in the court saying that the investigation in this case was being sabotaged and threats were being given to him and his family members. Wankhede has also said that he was ready for any kind of investigation, but he was being pressurized by some people. In a new twist of the case, NCB has ordered vigilance inquiry against Samir Wankhede after extortion allegation was made against him.
एक स्वतंत्र गवाह ने एफिडेविट के माध्यम से सोशल मीडिया पर कुछ तथ्यों को सर्कुलेट किया था। उसका संज्ञान लेते हुए हमारे महानिदेशक स्वापक नियंत्रण ब्यूरो ने विजिलेंस को इंक्वायरी मांग की है। आरोपों के संबंध में मैं सिर्फ इतना अभी आपको मैंने बताया है कि एक इंक्वायरी ऑर्डर हो गई है और हम बहुत ही ओपन और ट्रांसपेरेंट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है। चाहे इन्वेस्टिगेशन हो चाहे इंक्वायरी हो, हम लोग इसको प्रोफेशनली हैंडल करेंगे and we'll ensure that it culminates.
Meanwhile, Bollywood actress Ananya Pandey did not appear before NCB on Monday. Ananya was summoned by the agency for questioning on the third day. The hearing on the bail plea of the party organizers arrested by the agency will also come up before NDPS court on Tuesday. With Yogesh Kumar Sheetal in Mumbai, Bureau Report, DD India.
And Yogesh Sheetal joins us for more. He's been keeping a track of this case from Mumbai. Yogesh, good morning. This case seems to be getting interesting by the day, and today, of course, an important day for Aryan Khan and others who have been accused in the case. But really, it has been more than 3 weeks since they have been in judicial custody, and their bail pleas have been rejected several times. But today, can we expect Aryan Khan and others to walk free, or do they still have a long way ahead?
Good morning, Shreya. Good morning, Rukma. You have rightly said that 2 times the bail have been rejected. First on 8th of October from the magistrate court, where magistrate court said that the court has no jurisdiction to hear the bail plea and the matter was transferred to the sessions court, that is a special designated NDPS court. Then NDPS court again rejected the bail plea because certain sections, especially section 37, 35 and also 29, basically 29 is the criminal conspiracy case under the NDPS Act. So these are the sections were invoked, and the strong argument by the Additional Solicitor General Anil Singh on behalf of the NCB that basically ensured that the accused are granted bail. Now the accused have challenged the lower court's judgment to the Bombay High Court, and today Bombay High Court is expected to hear the bail application in the, I think, late afternoon. The matter is already listed today. 2 accused, Aryan Khan as well as Munmun Dhanecha. These 2 accused, their bail application are slated to be heard today. Now, what are the important things so far, and what we may expect today? As far as the developments today till now is concerned, you have rightly said there are fresh development yesterday when one of the punch witnesses put a social media post and also shared some of his insight and said that certain labeled basically allegations against some NCB officials. Now NCB immediately moved the court and sought a sort of injunction, a sort of restraint from the court to direct that particular accused not to speak anything out of the court but depose whatever he has to say before the court, that is the competent authority. So also the NCB, there were two pleas filed by separately, one from the NCB and one from the Samir Wankhede. Samir Wankhede filed a separate plea in which he said that he is being threatened, he is being tried to deprime, and also he is trying to some powerful people are trying to derail the entire investigation, scuttle the investigation. On the other end, NCP also moved the court and said that the investigation are basically they are trying to derail the investigation. So two pleas were filed. However, later on both files were punched in combined. Basically, the court heard combined, but the court had rejected to issue any blanket order against those pleas. And now the one important thing why court rejected that plea was the matter is already before the Bombay High Court, and since the matter is sub judice, Bombay High Court is already hearing the case, so the court had disposed of that matter. Now it remains to be seen that what happens today in the Bombay High Court. See, as far as arguments so far are concerned, the NCP has been saying that the chats which have been retrieved by the agency, which shows that how all the accused were underlinked and they were a part of a larger conspiracy. And also the NCB has written a letter to the Ministry of External Affairs underlining that certain accused are also they are residing abroad, they are residing in other country, and also the NCB has requested the MEA to track those accused. So NCB this is the basic argument of the NCB. On the other hand, coming to defense part, defense has been relying since the day one that there was no recovery under the position of these accused, and the recovery, how recovery was made, that is a matter of investigation. And basically defense has also sought from the court that the liberty should be ensured to the accused. So these are the two important arguments from the defense as well as from the prosecution side. Now it remains to be seen that what would be the arguments that are likely to be advanced by both of the parties today before the Bombay High Court.
Well, and when we talk about the inquiry that we're hearing about against Samir Wankhede, for example, what are the exact charges against him? How long could this inquiry last, and what does it mean as far as he is concerned, his position is concerned?
And also, just to add to this, Yogesh, there were reports that Samir Wankhede is coming to Delhi. Is he in Delhi for the vigilance probe against him?
I'll first come to your question, Shreya. Samir Wankhede is already in Delhi, but in Delhi he has said that he has not been summoned there, but he is there for some other work, official work. So this should not be read as he has been summoned to Delhi. The second part, as Rupma was asking, that what about the inquiry? See, this is not a clear picture, has not been emerged so far what kind of inquiries are the people talking about, because it before Deputy DG Gyaneshwar Singh first yesterday interacted with the media, and then they said that inquiry would be made through Central Vigilance Department. So if vigilance is carrying out an inquiry, there would be a time period. It is not, as I told you, it is not clear that by what time the inquiry is going to be completed, who will be the member of inquiry. This is all unfiltered news. This is just an information. This is not a news. So I think NCB would come out with some clear picture after the hearing of bail plea in the Bombay High Court today, because this is today's hearing is very important as far as departmental inquiry is concerned. There are a lot of procedures, there are a lot of technical, we can say that technical grounds there. So it remains to be seen that what would be the departmental inquiry. As far as allegations are concerned, the punch witness basically Prabhakar has labeled a number of allegations that he has said that some money was demanded, around 25 crore was demanded, and ultimately 18 crore was the amount on which the matter was lastly settled. He has also alleged that NCP officials and some of the people not directly associated with the agency, they were involved in the communication. So these are the two allegations, and apart from that, other allegations are also made, like he was compelled to sign on a blank paper. So these are the allegations that are basically being made. So these are allegations is not made in the court. This is an out of the court matter. So I don't think that will be an admissible thing in the court today.
All right, you keep a track of that, Yogesh. Sheetal, thanks very much for joining us with those updates on that case of the cruise drugs party.
And let's move on now to our COVID vaccination coverage, which is continuing on in full swing. It has crossed 102.8 crores. Cumulatively, 102 crores 86,69,053 beneficiaries have been vaccinated so far under the world's largest vaccination program. More than 58,87,000 vaccine doses have been administered till 7 p.m. on Monday, of which 23,08,646 people were vaccinated in the past 24 hours and 35,79,335 people were given the second dose of the vaccine on Monday.
Moving on, the Central Vigilance Commission is organizing Vigilance Awareness Week 2021 from today till the 1st of November. The theme of this year's Vigilance Awareness Week is Independent India at 75, Self-Reliance with Integrity. Central Vigilance Commission, being the apex integrity and vigilance institution of the country, strives to promote honesty, transparency and accountability in public life. Creating awareness against corruption among the people is one of the main objectives of the CVC, and every year the Vigilance Awareness Week is one of the major steps that is taken by the Commission towards achieving this objective.
And on the Vigilance Awareness Week, President Ramnath Kovind in his message to the nation said, I quote, "As a nation, we have had a long and well-established ethos of integrity and ethics. It is our responsibility as citizens to reaffirm these ideals as we strive towards national development and self-reliance. It is the duty of all citizens to be vigilant and combat corruption in every sphere of life." President Kovind expressed happiness to see that the Central Vigilance Commission is taking the necessary steps to bring the citizens together to strengthen our commitment towards progress and self-reliance while remaining rooted in our ideals. He extended greetings to all those associated with the organization of Vigilance Awareness Week at the Central Vigilance Commission and has wished the campaign every success.
Meanwhile, Vice President Venkaiah Naidu has also given a message to the nation. He said, and I quote, "A self-reliant India is a dream for all her citizens, and such a dream can only be fulfilled with the participation of all. I have faith that everyone would adopt integrity and ethics in their daily life as we move in our journey towards self-reliance," unquote. The Vice President has expressed hope to see all the citizens and stakeholders collectively participate in large numbers in the fight against corruption. He added that we need to come together to reiterate the ideals of integrity, transparency and accountability and strive towards embracing the values that have guided us in our journey so far. The Vice President has commended the Central Vigilance Commission for their efforts in combating corruption, and he has conveyed his best wishes for the success of the Vigilance Awareness Week.
And Prime Minister Narendra Modi's message was also given to the nation on Vigilance Awareness Week 2021. He said, and I quote, "I am happy to know about the Vigilance Awareness Week being organized by the Central Vigilance Commission from the 26th of October to the 1st of November. People's hard work, awareness and sense of responsibility play an important role in India's development journey. Today, India is making big resolutions and also achieving them. India has gained a new confidence on the world stage with people's participation and collectivism. The selection of Independent India at 75, Self-Reliance with Integrity as a theme of Vigilance Awareness Week by the Commission is commendable. India is moving ahead on zero tolerance against corruption since 7 years with Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas, Sabka Prayas mantra."
And staying with Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he will attend the 18th ASEAN-India Summit to be held virtually on October 28th at the invitation of the Sultan of Brunei. The summit will be attended by heads of states and governments of the ASEAN countries. The 18th ASEAN-India Summit will review the status of ASEAN-India strategic partnership and take stock of progress made in key areas including COVID-19 and health, trade and commerce, connectivity and education and culture. Important regional and international developments including post-pandemic economic recovery will also be discussed. The Prime Minister will also attend the 16th East Asia Summit to be held on October 27th virtually. The summit is the premier leaders-led forum in the Indo-Pacific. At the 16th East Asia Summit, leaders will discuss matters of regional and international interest and concern, including maritime security and terrorism. Leaders are also expected to accept declarations on mental health, economic recovery through tourism, and green recovery, which are being co-sponsored by India.
And Minister of State for External Affairs V. Muralidharan will be leading the Indian delegation to the 6th Ministerial Consultations of Abu Dhabi Dialogue ADD to be held in Dubai today and tomorrow. The Abu Dhabi Dialogue is a regional, voluntary and non-binding consultative process between Asian countries of labour origin and destination, which serves as a platform to facilitate regional cooperation on contractual labour mobility, sharing of best experiences and learning from one another's experience. During the visit, the MOS will have bilateral meetings with other ministers. The MOS will also visit the Dubai Expo 2020.
And after that, let's move on to our next segment, that is Web News Review.
Our colleague Arun Sharma joins us. Arun, a very good morning to you. What's trending on the World Wide Web as far as news is concerned today?
Good morning to both of you and all our viewers. And a lot of news are trending, and most of the news we have already covered in a bulletin. But let me begin with this newspaper article about the Finance Ministry. Now, the Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has asked the infra ministers to accelerate spending. Now, this is the news item that's trending in almost all the business newspaper. Now, basically, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman in a review meeting told that infrastructure-related ministries should pool in all their efforts to ensure there is higher capital spending. That means whatever capital they have, they should spend right now. Because the more these ministries will be spending, more demand will be created, and more demand will result into higher number of growth rate numbers, and of course the job creation as well. So specifically, as far as this review meeting is concerned, she specifically said that Civil Aviation Ministry and Department of Telecommunication should spend more and should do more capital expenditure so that demand can be created in this post-COVID pandemic time. So this is the news article in main, but it's published in almost all the business paper or the business articles. Second is from the news article that I picked up is from the Pioneer. Now, this is also business news. Now, it says that economy likely to register 9.5% growth this fiscal. Now, this is again a big news because now the private research report agencies are also coming forward and giving thumbs up to the India's reforms. So now, UBS India, it has come out with its report and clearly mentioning this point that India to grow at 9.5%. And the kind of reforms that have been taken in last a few months will ensure that there is more acceleration as far as demand is concerned. And of course, this reformist approach will ensure that there is 9.5% growth in this fiscal. It's a good news for economy because now private players and the private research agencies are also giving thumbs up to the India's economy as well. Now, third news article is from the Economic Times. Now, it says that Nitin Gadkari backs for green hydrogen, says India needs to reduce oil imports. So over here, Road Transport Minister Nitin Gadkari clearly mentioning this point that gradually going over the period of time, India is focusing upon reducing the oil imports and focusing upon the green initiative or the green hydrogen aspect. Now, he clearly mentioned this point that we have to reduce our oil dependency or import of oil or petrol, of course oil, and less dependency on petrol and diesel. And on the other side, focus should be on green hydrogen. An ecosystem is also being created so that a focus can be on green hydrogen. Hydrogen-related vehicles can be upgraded and manufactured in India. So this is what the focus of the government is. So clearly, the Road Transport Minister clearly hinting towards the point that gradually we'll see an infrastructure whereby hydrogen is the key focus area, and green hydrogen is that key word that Nitin Gadkari is mentioning. Next article I picked up from Hindustan Times. Now, this news article talks about the dengue cases that we are witnessing now. Now, this is about Delhi. In Delhi, close to 1,000 dengue cases have been registered so far, and out of which 665 dengue cases have been reported just in the month of October. Now, doctors over here are clearly mentioning this point in this news article that there is close to 60% hike as far as or increase primarily the number of dengue cases. So this is really a cause of concern because the hospital beds are really filling up fast as far as Delhi is concerned. So on one side, we are not getting COVID cases as far as Delhi is concerned. Number of COVID cases are very much less. But on the other side, dengue is becoming the cause of concern. So please do follow all the guidelines and protocols of the health authorities that they have mentioned about dengue cases. Wear full sleeve clothes and follow all the guidelines as far as protecting yourself from dengue, and ensure that there is of course no mosquitoes around you and you live in that safe environment. So this is about the Hindustan Times article. Now, last news article is of course from the Times of India. It says that Tata Power crosses 1,000 EV charging station mark in India. Now we are witnessing that how India is shifting from petrol and diesel infrastructure to the green initiative infrastructure. As of now, the 2,500 CNG stations, and government is focusing upon creating 10,000 CNG stations going forward. In next 7 to 8 years. So on the other side, as far as the electric vehicle infrastructure is concerned, Tata Power alone has installed 1,000 electric vehicle charging stations all across the country. That includes primarily malls, hospitals, and of course near schools. So all this electric charging mechanism is being installed, and government and private players are all participating in this initiative to ensure that an electric vehicle charging infrastructure can be created in our country. So on one side, government is giving incentives to consumers so that they can buy electric vehicles. So on the other side, electric infrastructure is also being created in country like India. So Tata Power has installed 1,000 EV charging stations all across the country. So these are some of the news articles published in various newspaper websites, and of course are trending as well on various websites. But for the news, back to you.
All right, Arun, thanks very much for all those updates from the online world. And now let's move on to our next segment, where we get you news from across the world.
Developed countries have said that they remain steadfast in continued commitment to meet the annual $100 billion goal as soon as possible and through 2025. In this regard, developed countries, co-led by Canada's Minister for Environment and Climate Change, Jonathan Wilkinson, and Germany's State Secretary at the Ministry for Environment, Nature Conservation and Nuclear Safety, Jochen Flasberg, have prepared a forward-looking delivery plan on the $100 billion goal through to 2025. Based on the analysis from the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development of recent climate finance pledges and historical levels of climate finance, the outlook to 2025 shows a positive trend, with developed countries making significant progress towards the $100 billion goal in 2022, and provides confidence that it would be met in 2023. The ministers have said in their paper Climate Finance Delivery Plan, meeting the $100 billion goal, that the delivery plan reflects these collective efforts. Through it, we demonstrate progress made to date, outline our expectation that developed countries will make significant progress towards the goal in 2022, and express confidence that it would be met in 2023. The data also gives us confidence that we will likely be able to mobilize more than $100 billion per year thereafter. This projection is based on pledges made by developed countries as of October 20th, 2021.
Well, some concerning news coming from Sudan. The ruling council head Abdel Fattah al-Burhan announced a state of emergency across the country and the dissolution of the Transitional Sovereign Council and the government. Soldiers arrested most of the members of Sudan's cabinet, and a military officer dissolved the transitional government, while opponents of the takeover took to the streets, where gunfire and injuries were reported. Prime Minister Abdullah Hamdok was detained and moved to an undisclosed location after refusing to issue a statement in support of the coup. Tens of thousands of people opposed to the takeover had taken to the streets and had faced gunfire near the military's headquarters in the capital, Khartoum. In a televised speech, Burhan said that infighting between politicians and ambition and incitement to violence forced the military to act. People were seen chanting slogans and burning tires on streets.
And a further update on the Sudan situation now. At least 7 people are reported dead and 140 others were injured as soldiers fired on crowds opposing a military takeover there. Protesters took to the streets after the armed forces dissolved civilian rule, arrested political leaders and called a state of emergency on Monday.
Now, the coup has been condemned around the world. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has called for the immediate release of Sudan's Prime Minister and all other officials. Condemning the ongoing coup in Sudan, Guterres said Prime Minister Hamdok and all other officials must be released immediately. He said the UN will continue to stand with the people of Sudan.
The Secretary-General strongly condemns the ongoing military coup d'etat in Khartoum and all actions that could jeopardize Sudan's political transition and stability. The Secretary-General calls for the immediate reconstitution of the governing arrangements provided under the constitutional document. The unlawful detention of the Prime Minister, government officials, and politicians is unacceptable and contravenes the constitutional document and the partnership critical for the success of Sudan's transition. The Secretary-General calls on the immediate release of the Prime Minister and all others who have been detained immediately. Sudanese stakeholders must immediately return to dialogue and engage in good faith to restore the constitutional order and Sudan's transitional process. The United Nations reiterates its unwavering commitment and support to the realization of Sudan's political transition. Any attempt to undermine the transition process puts at risk Sudan's security, stability, and development. The United Nations will continue to stand with the people of Sudan as they strive to fulfill their aspirations for a peaceful, prosperous, and democratic future.
And world leaders have reacted with alarm at the news of the military takeover in Sudan. The US has joined the UK, the EU, the United Nations and the African Union, of which Sudan is a member, in demanding the release of political leaders who are now under house arrest in unknown locations. The Biden administration has meanwhile suspended $700 million in aid to Sudan. The State Department has said the full amount of the aid package had been put on pause pending a review of the developments in Khartoum. The suspended aid was direct financial support intended to help the country transition to a fully civilian government. Price said additional US aid to the country could also be at risk along with the broader relationship.
Military officials should immediately release and ensure the safety of all detained political actors, fully restore the civilian-led transitional government, and refrain from any violence against protesters, including the use of live ammunition. Any change to the transitional government by force risks assistance in our bilateral relationship more broadly. In light of these developments, the United States is pausing assistance from the $700 million in emergency assistance appropriations of economic support funds for Sudan. Those funds were intended to support the country's democratic transition as we evaluate the next step for Sudan programming.
Meanwhile, Britain has said that the military coup in Sudan was an unacceptable betrayal of the Sudanese people and called on security forces there to release the country's Prime Minister Abdullah Hamdok. Speaking in the Parliament, Britain's Africa Minister Vicky Ford said that the actions of the Sudanese military were wholly unacceptable and a betrayal of the Sudanese people and their journey to democracy.
Most strongly condemns the arrests of civilian members of Sudan's transitional government by the military. We are also deeply concerned by reports of shooting of protesters. This must stop. The acts of the military today represent an unacceptable betrayal of the Sudanese people and their journey to democracy.
And after 4 continuous years of extension, Egypt President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi on Monday announced the termination of the nationwide state of emergency. Egypt had imposed a state of emergency in April 2017 after deadly bombings of churches and has since routinely extended it at 3-month intervals. Despite an improved security situation, the state of emergency granted authorities sweeping powers to make arrests and crack down on what they call enemies of the state. Prominent Egyptian activist Hossam Bakhkat welcomed the decision, saying it would stop the use of emergency state security courts, although it would not apply to some high-profile cases already referred to such courts.
In other news, in Nigeria, at least 18 worshippers were killed by gunmen who attacked a mosque in Niger State during the early morning prayers on Monday. The attack took place in Mazakuka village in Mashegu local government area of the Niger State. The attackers also abducted around a dozen worshippers before escaping from the area. Niger Police Commissioner has said that the attack was related to the conflict between the villagers and the Fulani herders. A week ago in northwest Sokoto state, assailants attacked a rural area, killing at least 40 people and displacing many more.
And a look now at COVID-19 figures from across the world. So far, more than 24 crore, 47 lakh people have contracted the virus, while the number of recoveries stand at above 22 crores, 18 lakhs globally. The virus has claimed over 49 lakh 69,000 lives worldwide. The United States continues to remain the worst affected with the disease, where the number of cases have crossed 4 crore 63 lakhs, while the death toll remains above 7 lakh 57,000.
And staying with updates on COVID, the European Union's drug regulator on Monday said that a booster dose of Moderna's coronavirus vaccine may be considered in people aged 18 years and above at least 6 months after the second dose. In a statement, the European Medicines Agency cited data showing that boosters given to people 6 to 8 months after their second dose led to an increase in antibody levels in adults whose levels were going down. Earlier this month, the EMA said that booster doses of the COVID-19 vaccine made by Pfizer BioNTech could also be considered. While this is the second COVID-19 booster vaccine to be approved in the European Union, the European Medicines Agency also said that the risk of inflammatory heart conditions or other rare side effects after the booster is being monitored.
Now time to go into our history for today, in which every day we at DD India bring you a special story glorifying our freedom struggle. In today's episode, we talk about how on the 26th of October in the year 1947, Jammu and Kashmir acceded to the Union of India after Maharaja Hari Singh signed the Instrument of Accession. We also recall the contributions made by legendary freedom fighter and eminent journalist Ganesh Shankar Vidyarthi. The 26th of October is his birth anniversary.
On 26th October 1947, Jammu and Kashmir acceded to the Union of India after Maharaja Hari Singh signed the Instrument of Accession, which was accepted by India's last Governor-General, Lord Mountbatten, on 27th October. Early in the morning on 27th October, the Indian Army's 1st Sikh Battalion was airdropped in Srinagar, where they resisted the tribal invasion supported by Pakistan.
As the tribal invaders captured Uri and Baramulla with minimal resistance from the Maharaja's forces, the fall of Srinagar looked imminent. On 24th October, Maharaja Hari Singh appealed to India for military assistance to stop the aggression. The request was considered on 25th October 1947 in a meeting of India's Defence Committee headed by Lord Mountbatten. The committee comprised Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, Baldev Singh, Gopalaswamy Iyengar and the British commanders-in-chief of the Army, the Air Force and the Navy. The committee concluded that the most immediate necessity was to rush arms and ammunition already requested by the Kashmir government.
The Defence Committee sent VP Menon, Secretary of the Ministry of the States, to Srinagar to make an on-the-spot study the same day. He returned to New Delhi the next day with his impressions and suggested sending troops to Kashmir, pointing out the supreme necessity to save Kashmir from raiders. Menon was then flown to Jammu to advise the Maharaja about the government's view and that's when the Maharaja finally signed the instrument of accession on 26th October. The day is celebrated as Accession Day.
26th of October is the birth anniversary of the legendary freedom fighter and eminent journalist Ganesh Shankar Vidyarthi. He was born on the 26th of October 1890 at Attar Suya in Prayagraj district of Uttar Pradesh. After finishing school, Vidyarthi enrolled at Kayasth Pathshala College but was unable to graduate since he had to support his family of humble means. He went on to become a clerk, but his real passion lay in journalism. Later on, he began writing for Karma Yogi, the publication founded by Pandit Sundarlal, a leader of the revolutionary Ghadar movement. At the age of 23, Vidyarthi, however, quit the publication and moved to Kanpur, where he started his own Hindi weekly Pratap in 1920.
The same year, he was sentenced to 2 years rigorous imprisonment for championing the cause of peasants of Rai Bareli. He was released in 1922 but was immediately sent to jail again for allegedly delivering a seditious speech at Fatehgarh. He wrote extensively not only about the freedom struggle but also about social inequality in the society.
Vidyarthi also used journalism to develop critical thinking among the masses. He was a champion of communal harmony and played a leading role in forming an organization called Hindustani Biradari. It organized programs on communal harmony and joint celebrations of various festivals. Ganesh Shankar Vidyarthi was a member of the Indian National Congress and an ardent follower of Mahatma Gandhi. Over time, he became an influential leader during the non-cooperation movement. He took a leading role in the Home Rule movement of 1917-18 and led the first strike of textile workers in Kanpur.
Immediately after the execution of Bhagat Singh, Sukhdev and Rajguru, a riot broke out in Kanpur. Called the Lion of Kanpur, Vidyarthi took upon himself to calm communal passion, running high and stop rioting. Unfortunately, he was killed in the riots on 25th March 1931, 2 days after the hanging of the 3 revolutionaries. Paying tribute to Vidyarthi, President Ramnath Kovind said he sacrificed his life to douse the flames of hatred during communal violence.
In pursuance of his dream of a strong and united India, he sacrificed his life for peace and non-violence like a true disciple of Mahatma Gandhi.
Mourning the loss of Vidyarthi, who was merely 40 years of age at the time of his death, Mahatma Gandhi wrote in The Young India, "The death of Vidyarthi was one to be envied by all."
In memory of the celebrated journalist, the Government of India instituted the prestigious Ganesh Shankar Vidyarthi Award to recognize outstanding contribution in the field of Hindi journalism.
And now let's quickly get you all the excitement from the world of sports in our next segment, Sports Track.
And in the T20 World Cup in cricket, Afghanistan won by 130 runs against Scotland at the Sharjah Cricket Stadium. Chasing a victory target of 191 runs, Scotland were all out at 60 in 10.2 overs against Afghanistan.
And what is today? Well, South Africa will face the West Indies team in Dubai in the first match of the ICC T20 World Cup. South Africa have lost to Australia in their first match. On the other hand, the West Indies team has suffered a crushing defeat in their first match against England. In such a scenario, both the teams will be vying for victory. A total of 15 matches have been played between the teams of South Africa and West Indies in T20 internationals, in which the Proteas have won 9. And on the other hand, New Zealand will face Pakistan in Sharjah in the second match of the day. Pakistan defeated India, remember, by 10 wickets in their first match. Pakistani team looked better in both the bowling and the batting fields in the first match. In T20 International, the teams of Pakistan and New Zealand have faced each other 24 times, out of which Pakistan has won 14 and New Zealand has won 10.
2 more teams have been added to the Indian Premier League 2022. Apart from 8 teams, 2 new teams are Lucknow and Ahmedabad. In the auction, BCCI announced the successful bidders. The Lucknow franchise goes to RPSG Ventures Limited for 7,090 crore rupees. Irelia Company Private Limited, CVC Capital Partners, won the Ahmedabad bid for 5,625 crore rupees.
Well, as we told you, Vigilance Awareness Week is being observed. The theme of the current year is Independent India at 75, Self-Reliance with Integrity. The Central Vigilance Commissioner Suresh N. Patel in his message on the occasion said that self-reliance and integrity are the 2 ideals which need focus, as they are important for achieving all-round progress and development of the country. During the Vigilance Awareness Week, there is an opportunity for all to reaffirm ourselves towards our collective duty and responsibility to ensure transparency and integrity in the system and procedures. This year, a special initiative has been taken to create awareness for the complaint mechanism available under the Public Interest Disclosure and Protection of Informers Resolution. During the current year, all the organizations have also been requested to focus on improvements in internal processes and other housekeeping activities. The Commission appeals to all the citizens of the country to come forward during the 75th year of independence and support the drive to achieve self-reliance with integrity.
Well, that's all we have for you in today's edition of Breakfast News. We hope you enjoyed our show. As we go, we'd like to tell you once again, to reiterate once again, as the festival season continues, we would request you to remember that the fight against COVID-19 is not yet over. So don't forget to wear your mask as you step out of your homes, and do get yourself vaccinated with 2 doses of the COVID vaccine as soon as possible.
Absolutely. Now, every day we leave you with some beautiful glimpses, and today we are leaving you with stunning glimpses of Kashmir's Shikara Festival, which is being held in Srinagar. Enjoy this visual treat of the beautifully embellished Shikara swaying on the waters of Dal Lake. Have a good Tuesday ahead. Namaskar.